Alright, what's going on everybody? Kyle here today, and in today's video is going to be a discussion and a video about choosing your mana colors. And in my opinion, the best thing to do is to choose what colors that connect to your personality. Because they all have their own specific attributes that you can connect to yourself or to people in your life. Now, of course, we have the islands, the plains, the mountains, the forests, the swamps, or blue, white, red, green, black. Now, I'm going to start off left to right. So we're going to go with the blue manas to start. Now, blue has a lot of counter spells. So basically, whenever your opponent brings something out, like a creature, you can use counter creature spells. Constantly sending them back, sending them to the graveyard. Basically, just stopping them in their tracks. Blue is just a ton of counter, or looking for cards and stuff like that. Next, we're going to move to the plains, or white. White, in my opinion, is like you got a lot of your, I'd say the biggest name that comes with white is angel creatures. Now, angel creatures are obviously incredibly popular. They come with usually some really good abilities. I personally, sadly, I do not actually own any angels, so I can't use anything for a personal example. But a lot of angel creatures, those are very popular in white. A lot of big, heavy cost creatures in white. Sadly, I would point out that I do not know white very well. I don't use white really ever. It is in my commander deck, but I don't use anything that strictly uses a ton of white, or white is very vital to it. So sadly, I don't know a ton about that one. Red is very aggro. You usually have a lot of burn spells, a lot of pump spells that come with red. That's why I say a lot of these colors really attain to certain personalities. That's why I'll point out that my favorite colors are actually to use are red, black, and blue. Those are both my favorite colors. Because I like to run a lot of blue and black for control, and I like to use a lot of red for aggro, for aggressive attacks, for just hitting people for damage. And that's really just what red's about. It's about buffing up your creatures, making them bigger, and just hitting for damage and hitting for a ton of damage. And then we have green. Green has a lot of big creatures, a lot of big, aggressive, hard-hitting creatures, and it also, green has a lot to do with gaining life. Yes, I have to say this is where green and black share an attribute. It's a lot about gaining life, and same thing works for black. So just a lot of big creatures and gaining life is what I would say are the biggest attributes about green. Then we're on to black. Now, black is just, the best way to explain it is just, it's straight death, as you can tell by the skull. But with the jokes aside, black it's just strictly about death. It's a lot of sacrificing creatures. It's a lot of, losing life, gaining life. It's just strictly what it's about. It's about sacrificing creatures, exiling creatures, making people discard stuff like Unburden. Causes your opponent to discard 2 cards, and I would run 4 of those in my deck. I can make people mill their own hands and just have no options, or just sacrificing creatures and wiping people's boards and stuff like that. So it really comes down to just what you personally are looking for in a deck, what you want to do. Do you like blue and black? Is just like, it's a lot of death and manipulation. It's really good for control. Or you want to be a heavy hitter and use white and green. Or if you're just strictly just going out, not even out of your way to just hit damage and just keep hitting over and over again, red does that really well. A personal recommendation from myself for a person who's just starting, I always recommend the mono red. It's very simple. I have a mono red deck myself that I use from time to time. It's a lot of like cards like Shock, like Shock. It's just meant for, it's that, what that card does is it just hits for 2 damage, either target creature or target player. Magma. There's so many different Magma Spray. Where it's meant for just hitting damage to either a creature or player, and just that's it. And I have a lot of Brute Strength, which is just buffing up my creatures for like +3/+1, I believe, what Brute Strength does. And basically, and I have like a handful of some big creatures that have no ability. They're just meant to be big, that I can buff up and just hit for damage on the side with shock and stuff like that, and blazing volley and all those kind of cards that are just meant for hitting damage. And again, I always recommend mono red because it's so simple, because it's just got big creatures. You buff your big creatures, you hit for damage on the side. So it really comes down again to just what you are looking for. What are you wanting to do? You know, you can run black blue control, you can run mono black control if you're wanting to just basically keep your opponent in the palm of your hand and manipulate them, and every time they do something you just swat it away. You keep countering everything they have, which is really good if you're wanting to really cause devastation and annoy your opponent and just irritate the living basically just irritate the living hell out of them by just countering everything they have. And that's really it, guys. I just wanted to make some quick recommendations of colors you want to use for your deck. I will point out again that my favorites are black, blue, and red. Again, I recommend the mono red for new players. You can refer back to my starter deck video. I highly recommend the starter decks that you can pick up at your local game stores. They are the simple, bare bones, great way for learning. My little brother and sister both have them, and they have a ton of fun, and it's really easy and good for learning until you can upgrade to something a little better. Building a deck, or maybe even playing Commander, or really getting into Standard and building your decks in Standard. But yeah, that's really it, guys. I'm gonna ask you guys to like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys in the next video. Have a great day.